We Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beyond the Frame again. My name's Jay Nephew, and with me today I have a very talented guest who is going to give you a lot of information today. Directly from BPAA and Bowling University, Bart Burger is the Director of Membership and Educational Services for BPAA. Bart, welcome to Beyond the Frame.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you, first of all. I know we were originally going to talk with Frank today, and he's had something come up, and you were gracious enough to step in for him. And I hate to even say it publicly, but, I think it's actually even better that you're here because so many of the topics we were going to talk about are kind of educational based and programs that you guys have been doing since the last time Frank and I talked, The last time Frank and I chatted, it was the kind of the beginning of COVID, really. And you guys, as well as us, we shifted from being a manufacturing and products organization to providing a lot more services on the forefront. You guys have always been a service provider to the industry, but you had to bring that to the forefront even more than just being a membership operator, membership body, shall we say. So it was really nice that we were able to support you guys. You guys were able to support us in so many ways and the entire industry. And we really learned a lot together. So let's fast forward to today where we are with our, I want to say post-COVID efforts, but the way we do business today is a little different, especially with this upcoming league season, as we found out, right? I was going to say to Frank, now that the COVID has settled in, what's BPAA's primary focus been for support? Because I see that you've got a few beautiful things in place, like the flooring of leagues and addressing the non-returning bowlers. So why don't you touch on some of those programs that you've got, Bart, for us, please?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. And look, nobody replaces Frank, okay? So
no, nobody does.
There's only one Frank. He's the legend. So and certainly he can speak to all these things better than I. But again, pleasure to be with you in the group. And let me just say, I love what you guys are doing. I love, I think the one thing that we've all learned in the industry is that all boats benefit from a rising tide. And as we all work together, we're going to get through this. And we're not through it yet.
No.
Optimist. I'm an optimist. So if anyone is spending time with me, they know that I always see the glasses half full. But I also be realistic that we can't be Pollyannic that this is behind us. It's not.
No.
There are some tough days ahead, but there are days ahead, and there will, followed by those tough days, there's going to be some very, very good days because we have an incredible product, an incredible sport, an incredible industry, and it's just how do we help the industry? How do we help the operators that are in the trenches day in and day out? How do we help them get through this? So to your point, we started off, which seems like a lifetime ago in March and April.
It does seem a long time ago. I'm not going to lie.
Way back in history in March of 2020, like everyone in the industry, like your brand and all the brands is how do we help facilities that are not open to the public, which just seem bizarre? How do you have an out-of-home entertainment experience that you're not open to the public? And how do you connect with your guests, stay connected with your guests? And I think, our role along with yours and others in the industry was how do we keep that communication flowing? And then it kind of morphed into how do you give them tools to reopen their facilities? And now, we're into September and now into late October. And there's this thing called the Fall League Kickoff that's happening before our very eyes in the middle of a pandemic. And I have to tell you, I was one that if you'd asked me in March or April, would we be flooring a under restrictions due to COVID, I'd have said, no, I'm no way. I would have thought we'd been long past this, but we weren't. So to your direct point, led by Frank, we and our league development committee in BPAA, we said, how do we help all centers, right? Doesn't matter who they are. How do we help all centers in America that have any type of a league base? How do we help them floor leagues during COVID? Because this is going to be a kickoff, a fall league kickoff like no other. And
right.
One person shared with me, and I've borrowed this term because I think it's beautiful. And they said, Bart, this is going to be the longest league kickoff in history, right? It's going to be like the song that never ends. And they're right. And my point is that, even though we're in October, you're not done, right? This is not over. I was talking with a proprietor, wonderful person, and just said, "Oh, Bart, I love what you guys did with this flooring leagues, but might have already started and I'm done." I said, "No, you're not done. You're not done till we say you're done. You're not. You don't
Right.
up, right? You know, by now we normally are shifting our normal priorities to things like, you know, the holiday season and all the things that we're doing. But no, this fall kickoff is going to be going on for the next 2 to 3 months. And so I think if I could share one thing with your audience is that, you know, don't give up. We're not done yet. And this is going to be going on for quite some time. So all the things about a traditional fall kickoff that you may know, you can throw that out the window as far as it relates to timing. So if folks haven't, I would encourage them to visit the BPA website. And again, it's forward facing, so it doesn't matter whether you're a member of our group or not. That's not what
It's not hidden behind some membership portal.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right.
This is on the homepage. If you run a bowling center of any type and you have any type of frequent guest, it doesn't matter what you're a part of or not a part of. You need to review that information because we spent a lot of time, and this was not done in an office setting, mind you. It was done with operators around the country, many of which are part of your group. And we really broke this into 5 distinct categories. You know, communicating with league bowlers. How do you communicate with the league bowler during a pandemic? Communicating with league officers. Something that nobody thought about was how do you conduct a league meeting when you've got limited capacity and you have to social distance? What does that look like, right? And then probably most importantly is some suggestions on league formats, because we get a lot of questions about, you know, relative to my government regulations of what I can and can't do. How do I use that and still structure some type of a league setting? And there are some creative things happening around the country. I have to tell you, it's amazing. You know, I use the term junkyard dogs, and I use that as a term of affection,
Yeah.
as a term of love and endurance, because they are junkyard dogs and they figure ways to make this happen. So we have a section on there on suggested league formats, and then also on safety and sanitation protocols specifically for leagues. So no matter where you are in that league kickoff process, if you haven't had a chance to take a peek at that, the presentation's up there. We recorded a session for Bowling University from our virtual studio. And again, it's just a lot of great information from people like all of your folks from around the country that it's still as relevant today as it was on Labor Day when we were in the heat of the fall kickoff.
Right, right. You hit on some things here that, you know, I don't know that everyone's really focused on. Yeah, communicating to league officers, fine. A lot of people do a great job of that. You know, they have 1 or 2 key officers that really kind of hold that league together and take control of it. In many centers I've ever run, there's always been several leagues that I had to do nothing to, but just call Joe or Jim or Susie or whoever it was up and say, how many teams do you have? What do you need from me? And then they were good. But it's a different time now. So you do have to have different communications with your league officers, and they may need help communicating with their members. Like you said, how do you hold a league meeting? Maybe they need help with Zoom, and maybe they need one person needs to come to the bowling center and you know, use some facilities or technology there that makes more sense for them, so that you might be able to be there to help them. You never know what someone's going to need until you ask. So communicating with both your officers and your bowlers is really big. So thank you for putting all that together. I love the suggested league formats. Like you said, necessity is the mother of invention. And we have the most creative people in the world in our industry. They will take 2 threads, a shoestring, and a clothespin and make something out of it that's like genius, you know?
Yes.
It's really good. So I appreciate their efforts in our league, in our industry, especially when it comes to leagues. So, you know, as a follow-up to flooring the leagues, right? You did a joint presentation with USBC on communicating with non-returning bowlers. We all know this is going to be an issue for every owner-operator. You are going to have a segment of bowlers that just don't feel either comfortable to return. Maybe they're using this as an excuse not to return because they didn't enjoy it, but they can bow out gracefully without, you know, offending somebody. But for whatever reason, you have a chance to capture them, don't you? You really do have a chance to get them back, especially after the hump is over, shall we say.
Yeah, it's a great point, Jay. And here's what we learned in our research, you know, and you hate to generalize because there's always an exception and out.
Sure.
But, you know, there are basically 3 types of guests, 3 types of league guests that all of us are dealing with, right? I mean, you can put them into 1 of 3 buckets. There are those early adapters that are ready to bowl no matter what. God bless them. We love them, but there's just not enough of them. right?
Right.
And I warn proprietors and I warn operators, don't base all of your policy around that group because they're going to come see you no matter what. And
Right.
we love those folks, right? They're the people that, and I saw the pictures around the country. As centers were opening back up, they were lined up outside 30 minutes before opening, ready to bowl. And, didn't matter the circumstances. They just, and it doesn't mean they were right or wrong, right? It's just,
Right.
it's just their beliefs. Then on the other end of the spectrum, there is a group that is not going to come back no matter what until there's a vaccine. And the vaccine doesn't even have to be 100% effective. It just has to be a vaccine. And again, it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. It's just the lens that they look through. And and no matter what you do, that group is not going to come back to there's a vaccine. And I'm going to put them over here for a moment because that's part of the reason we came up.
Those are the two kind of extremes.
Right. The group that you can influence today is that group that's in the middle that's not sure. So they're like, should I follow the people that they're my friends, but maybe they seem a little reckless and they're maybe, mask are out, or do I go over here and stay hunkered down and wait for the vaccine? And the thing that I've learned is the only thing more divisive than politics right now is this virus.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it can divide even among families on how someone feels. And it really depends on where you live and how it's impacted you personally. And, just a lot of factors. And what I've told folks is, don't think about this as someone being right or wrong. It's just the lens they look through and the lens that you look through.
Right.
To be respectful of that. I mean, I have my own personal opinions about the virus and how I want to live my life, but I have to be respectful of others there. So my point is understanding those three groups. Now that we were able to get that kind of a kickoff going and knowing that less people chose to bowl in our organized products than ever before. That's just a fact, right? I mean, it's not the end of the world. We're not going to quit. That's why we can't stop. But, you're hearing numbers from on a good kickoff being down 15 to 20% to being down, upwards of 40 to 45% and everywhere in between there. But
right.
It doesn't matter. We're not going to quit. We're not going to give up. So fast forward, once we got those done, understanding that there is still that large group that is unsure, and this group that we still need to stay in touch with that is wonderful league guests, but they're not going to come out until there's a vaccine. And it's not a bowling thing, right? I mean, they're not dining, they're not going to the movies.
Right. They're not doing any kind of behavior that would maybe put them at more risk.
Right.
And, I will say this, it's hard for someone like maybe a younger individual who has no underlying health. They don't even understand what that really means yet. Maybe they're 25 and they're just healthy. They don't have underlying health conditions like diabetes, like breathing problems, like some of these things. It's hard for them to have full empathy for someone who lives their life with maybe privately suffering from some of these things.
Sure.
And that's the reason why they don't want to go out, but they don't want to use that as a crutch and say, well, I have COPD or I have diabetes type 1. I don't want to risk myself. They're just quiet and then just say, I'd rather not. So we don't know what their personal situations are all the time. So it's hard for us to judge them, like you said. And it's hard for us to, it's hard for some people to empathize that that's their life and their choice. So you make it easy by breaking them into these groups and saying, we've got a communication for this group, we've got a communication for this group, and we've got a plan for this middle group.
Yeah, and you know what? All of them are right. Every group is right.
For sure they are. It's their right to do whatever they choose.
Every group is right. The group that says, I want to go bowl is right. The group that says, I'm not going to come out to this vaccine, while that impacts my business, they're right.
Sure.
And the group that is unsure, now that's the group I want to try to influence. So anyway, we at the campus here, and it's really one of the benefits of having everybody under one roof that you can scale quickly and pull these things together quickly. We partnered with USBC, driven by Mike Larson, wonderful team member there at USBC, and said, how do we identify these people, which seems easy enough, but it's not as easy as you see, as it seems to get the data. And
Right.
then if you have the data, how do you then communicate with those folks and what do you say? So there was a whole project behind having local associations and centers work together to collaborate to get that data, that certification data, faster than ever before, and use that to communicate with those non-returning folks to say, we miss you, or we're ready when you are, right? So, and some folks, there's a lot. I mean, BLS is a great program. but the challenges with some of the methods of when you really survey the centers, they say they have a database, but then do they have a robust database that they can actually pull data to?
You're asking a big question right there for a lot of centers. So yeah,
and it doesn't make them bad folks. God bless.
No.
We're small business operators, so having a CRM or having the kind of data, you get busy, and I've been there, right? So you start a league season, you get the team registration card, and you tell the young lady or young man that's helping you, look, just get the averages and the wins and losses. We'll go back and put in the data later, and then guess what? Later never comes.
Right.
So we need to identify, if you've got a 40% dropout, you need to identify those people and be able to communicate with them. So I love the fact that, and we did a series of webinars with local USBCs and local centers to try to bridge them. And you're showing some of the creative there. So we have a couple different versions of print creative and also digital creative that you as an operator, as a local association or a local center, you can email those lapsed bowlers. You could even send them a postcard. I think we put an example of an oversized.
This is the postcard here that we miss you. I didn't show the backside, but that's the front side. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we tried to do some things with masks, some without masks. Again, not judging. We just know that everywhere in the country has a little different feeling. In some places around the country, if you put something with a mask, they find that oppressive.
Offensive. Yeah, I know. It's interesting.
Yeah. So if you, some areas of the country, if you don't have something with a mask, they find that very offensive. So, but really the message is this: bowling is ready when you are, right?
That's a great message, Bart. It's a great message.
The brand is bowling, and bowling is ready when you are. And then you as an operator, you as an association, you plug in what you want that message to be. It can be as simple as we miss you, we're thinking about you, or it can be as pointed as a new program or an open house you're going to be having. And again, in the same methodology, we went out to proprietors around the country that were already in this space and said, what are you doing? What are you doing to communicate with these folks? What are you doing to engage this group? And that's part of the presentation that we put together to share with the industry. And again, that presentation is available to all associations, all bowling centers around the country. It's available at BPAA.com and it's available at bowl.com. And it's a recorded session with Mike Larson and myself that we really walk through. Here's some strategies, here's some things. Also, here's where to go get the creative, because this creative is available for every bowling center and every association in America to use for free, right?
Very nice.
It's there, it's print ready. There are print ready postcards, a 4x6 postcard, a 6x9 postcard. If a local association had a few shekels in the bank and a local center said, I'm willing to kick in a few bucks, you could do a nice direct mail program to those 100, 200, 500, whatever it is that you want to speak to and say, hey, bowling, we're ready when you are.
And you know what? Direct mail is not ever going away. Well, I say that now, but maybe in 2050 when it's gone. I just think that it's underutilized in many cases. And, when it comes to marketing, people forget the power of direct mail. People forget the fact that there's a piece in my hand that I have to deal with in my mailbox. I have to touch it. I have to see it. I have to look at it to decide if I want it. Unlike in an email where I can just delete mass quantities at a time without ever reading them. So, don't forget the value of print and direct mail personally.
Yeah, and I think today the successful strategy engages many of those touch points.
For sure. You can't just have one thing. You really do need to have multifaceted, multi-channel approaches.
Yeah, we can't, as small business operators, we can't no longer. We used to be able to in the day, right? But you can't anymore.
And if you do it, you're just not going to get the same results as what you would from piggybacking with multiple channels.
Yeah. So I'd encourage folks to check that out. There is a lot of digital material already there for you, right? So for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email templates. There's even some stationery, right? Somebody said, hey, Bart, I wrote, and they said, this is a proprietor, said, I wrote a letter. I'm old school. I wrote a letter to those people telling them that I was thinking about them, that I miss them, and I hope them and their families are well. I didn't want to sell them the thing. I just want to let them know that it was like an outreach letter. And
Was
so
that
we said,
Jamie
you know what?
Brooks? I'm just
It was not
kidding.
Jamie Brooks. It could have been, but it was not
It
Jamie
could have
Brooks.
been. It sounds like something Jamie would do.
Yeah, it definitely could have been, but no. And I'm sure that this person wasn't alone. But for them, that connection point, that wellness check was in the form of a letter, right? And so we said, can I do some stationery? So we did some letterhead stationery that says bowling's ready when you are. So if you're old school, and I'm nothing wrong with old school, you're old school and you want to write a letter. If you're more traditional and you want to send a postcard, send a postcard. If you want to send an email, if you want to send a tweet, if you want to, whatever you want to do, the message is you've got to, don't accept wherever you are in your league bowler count. Don't accept it. You're not done.
Right. There's always room to add.
You've got to identify, and I think, marketing 101, it's always easier to bring back an existing guest than it is to generate a new guest.
To try to, you're 100%.
Right, and we need both.
We do need both. We do. You're right. Well, let's talk about the new league format here, because I got the Go Bowling America logo up on the screen. You know what? I love the look and feel of this. Whoever did the graphics on this, A+.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that is team effort here at the campus. Again, everything we do is driven bottom up by membership. So this was a member-driven program, again, largely driven by the League Development Committee. And the Go Bowling America is an outreach program to try to reconnect with either those that haven't come back yet, or even some new folks that haven't participated in a frequent setting or a league setting, and just kind of branded the Go Bowling America. Now, the premise, Jay, of this is it's a have a ball program. Now, I usually get that look when I talk about have a ball, and people say, well, wow, that's awesome. That's all you come up with is a have a ball, because if you've been in the industry, you have a ball program. It's not, they were hoping for some kind of, angelic music to start up and some great new program. We said, well, hey, we got a have a ball program. And like, oh, that's great, Bart. Thank you. Your folks been in this industry any time at all. They know what a have a ball program is. There are some new ones. That's the beauty. I love out of the mouth of babes. I love the new people in our industry to say, well, wait a minute. I don't know what a have a ball is, but outside of that, the vast majority of them know what this is. Now, here's why this particular have a ball program is special. And here's what differentiates it, Jay, from things that we've done previously, is understanding that there are so many unique circumstances out there. This have a ball program, the brand is Go Bowling America, but you, the operator, control everything else. What I mean by this is we've developed 3 sets of creative, one for families that you're looking at there, one for youth, and one for young adults. So really, as an operator, previously if we did a have a ball program, it might be a youth program,
right?
Senior
or an adult
program, and you had to say yes or no, I'm in or out. This one, you pick. So you pick the target market. Also, you get to pick the number of weeks, and you pick the price point. So I love the 8 for 8s. I love the 10 for 10s. But again, if you're, for whatever reason, that doesn't fit your business model, you'd have to say, well, I'm out. I don't want to do an 8 for 8. I don't want to do for 10 for 10 for 10. So the Go Bowling America brand is yours. You do it for the number of weeks that you think your market will support or your business model needs. And you charge the price that you think you need to charge in your part. And then the last piece of this puzzle, which I really love, which I think is the big differentiator that after people hear this are like, okay, Bart, maybe this is not your typical have a ball program, is we don't have an entry-level ball here. Usually we do a plastic entry-level ball. This is a entry-level reactive ball. It's reactive resin. It's a twist bowling ball. So it's $100 product if you went to a local pro shop to get it. And so you're putting something a little higher, and you appeal to a different person than a plastic ball that is 3 holes and kind of fits, right?
Sure. It's a different sell now too. There's a benefit to this program. Different than the past.
Yeah. So it really, and that was a big point by the committee to say, wait a minute, don't make this your traditional, we're not trying to just introduce new people to bowling and put a plastic ball in their hand to get them started, which is the equivalent of a house ball. Let's put in something that's mid-performance. It's not going to be high-end, but it's mid-performance, and let's get it in their hand. And as an industry, because of the situation we're in, we are, as an industry, we're helping subsidize this. The landed cost of the bowling ball to the proprietor to do the program is only $39.99, and includes shipping.
Wow, including shipping.
Including shipping. And if you do the math, it doesn't take long to figure out, wait a minute, somebody's got to be taking a haircut on this, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that. I mean, shipping these days with UPS and FedEx and what they're charging and just the cost of the bowling ball. And I would tell you that this is truly an industry initiative. And even those that the brand may not be on it, they are supporting this because, again, all boats benefit from rising tide. So Brunswick happens to be manufacturing the ball, but Storm is completely supportive, and they hope there's thousands of new people that participate in this program. I mean, it was, Bill Crispin said, I want thousands of people to do this, right? Because
Yeah.
we need more people bowling and getting them back to bowling. Classic is helping us with the distribution, and they're agreeing to give a little. Brunswick's agreeing to give a little. Strike 10 and BPAA are actually subsidizing a fair amount. So at the end of the day, because Frank had an initiative, he said, Bart, I want a mid-performance bowling ball in a proprietor's hand for under $40. Make it happen, right? So then you as an operator can say,
well, you did.
I can stretch this. Well, we made it by a penny, and we only had to sell one. So I think that while the premise of Go Bowling, this have a ball, is traditional in itself, and you may say, well, so what? If you peel away a couple layers, it gives the operator a tremendous amount of flexibility with the target market, with the weeks and the cost, and then also with the product we're putting in their hand at a very a very fair and very reasonable price. Again, not forever, because we can't subsidize forever, but until we can get on the other side of this and get more people bowling. And we're starting to get some early results. We've got great results out of Ohio and Florida and Texas, and centers are starting to say, my gosh, this is working. And again, the people that aren't going to come out till there's a vaccine, they are not your target for this right now. Your people
Right.
with you, they are not your target for this right now. You want those
That middle ground.
that middle group. And if you can get to them that, hey, we are safe, we're sanitized, we're ready to roll, and by the way, here's a great program, maybe that's enough to move them into that spot that says, I'll give it a try.
All right. So thank you for telling us about that program. So there's the two phases of this are, discovering where the buckets are in your center and who's in what bucket, finding out those non-returning bowlers, communicating obviously with your league officers, your customers. That's all part of the first part. When you identify these non-returning bowlers, you've got the tools to communicate with them, and that middle group, here's a program you can launch to them with your own price points in there and your own set of guidelines. So if you want an 8-week program, you've got it. But if you want to turn it into a 16-week thing, you can do that too and make it even more affordable. It's up to you as an operator. I love the fact that you're giving all these choices to people to make, so they don't feel like they're being shoved into a mold, shall we speak. Yeah, there's a giant mold, but it's pretty flexible on this part. Let's talk about a little bit about the future, what's on the horizon for BPAA. And I know we had to cancel Bowl Expo last year. I was very disappointed. I wanted to be in Denver personally. But I'm encouraged to see that you've got the Midwinter Summit scheduled for January 17th through 19th at the Omni Hotel in Nashville. What are the major features of this event?
Yeah, well, I tell you, Jay, we would have loved to have been in Palm Springs. It was our intent to be in Palm Springs, but the state of California and the government is just not allowing groups to happen. Yeah. And we respect that. We'll be back. We'll go back when it's appropriate there. But, Nashville is open. Downtown Nashville is welcoming groups, and we're going to be at the Omni. It's a great property. And we're excited. And for those that are ready, and I preface my remarks by saying those that are ready, it's going to be a great opportunity, really our first opportunity to network as an industry again. And while it's an event that BPA is hosting, this is an industry event. This is going to be distributors and manufacturers and proprietors. If you think about it, a lifetime ago, this last January was the last time we got to gather as an industry in Charleston at our summit. So it's
right.
Right? And we're social creatures. So for those that are ready, it's going to be an incredible amount of networking, incredible amount. We got some great education planned. We realize that it may not be for everybody. We realize that some people may be in that bucket themselves as operators. Look, there are people that are operators that are in that bucket that they're not going to come out as a vaccine, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. We're gonna be there for them when they're ready. But there are a lot of folks that have said, I'm ready. I want to responsibly, follow the CDC guidelines, but I want to network and I want to have human interaction, and I want to socialize and people have got a lot to share. I mean, things like what you folks are doing is awesome. I think, but nothing replaces that face to face.
Nothing does. You're absolutely right. Did you say you had a special keynote speaker for this event?
We do, and this is hot off the press, Jay, because you got the scoop because we literally just got the ink signed on this yesterday. We wanted to come up with a topic we thought was appropriate given where we are, right? So we brought in a gentleman. His name is Joseph Michelli. You may not have heard of him yet, but you're going to hear of him after the time that you're done at Summit here. And actually, he's coming out with a brand new book. He's a best-selling author. This is a guy that's worked with brands like Mercedes-Benz, Starbucks, Zappos, Ritz-Carlton, Pike Place Fish Market, Airbnb. So he's always been a great thought leader on the consumer experience, the guest experience. But the reason we really dug in and talked to Joseph and thought that he was a perfect fit for our industry is he is studying consumer behavior and what it means for people as they start to get back to this normal sense of out-of-home entertainment. And he has a new book coming out in December, Stronger Through Adversity. He has surveyed 140 leaders from around the country, taking their pandemic-tested learning, and he's turned it into a book, which is going to be a great ad. We're going to have that book at the convention in January. We've made arrangements to get 200 advanced copies
nice.
of the book there. So we just think that, by itself, Joseph would be great to have with us just because of his knowledge of the guest experience. That's what he's done with some of those brands that I mentioned. But now layer in this idea of, okay, how do we understand consumer behavior? You and I, what are we willing to do? What are we willing not to do? What are some things that are keeping us from going out in those social settings? And so he's going to share that with us as operators and help us understand what the consumer's thinking, and then what are some actionable insights we can take from that and put to work. So, I mean, this literally will be normally most of these speakers have a canned presentation. They've been doing it for some time.
Right.
And they've earned it. This is literally going to be one that he's doing research and putting together in December.
Nice. So we're going to be like the first to see his results from this. And, I read a little bit about this book right here, the quote from Chip Conley, who is, he's the founder of Airbnb. So, he has a little bit of a brain in him. He says, filled with wisdom, insights, and analysis, Stronger Through Adversity offers help and practical tools to lead, inspire, and thrive. Oftentimes we forget about the thrive part. Yeah, we want to lead, and it'd be great if we could inspire, but thrive is the end goal. So, I'm excited to read this and to find out what he's learned.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as a sidebar, not the reason we chose him, it never is, but as you visit with people and you start to do your vetting and you start to look at folks, because look, we'll look at a dozen different people before we settle on someone that we think is going to be best to bring to the industry for this. But Joseph shared with me that he's a bowler, loves bowling, and grew up bowling in leagues in Colorado, where he's from. He now lives in Florida. But he showed me a picture of his mother bowling in the WIBC tournament, was an active bowler and bowling in the ladies championship tournament many years ago. So he was excited to hear a little bit about us and what we do and kind of how we, it's always nice when you get someone that resonates and, understands who you are. But aside from that, it was really the consumer behavior, the consumer research, what he could help. We just thought it would be prevalent with where we are. So no matter what role you play in the industry, for those that are ready, it's going to be a great opportunity to network and gather, and hear from somebody like Joseph. We've got some other great speakers coming in as well. We've got 4 of the great sessions we're going to do to lead up to Joseph that are all going to be topic specific, but every one of them is going to wrap in kind of this new environment that we're operating under.
Sure. Looking forward to that. Hopefully I will be able to attend and soak up some of that knowledge from there. Also, I would love to attend so I can see people in the industry again, face to face, like for real. Speaking of that, what about, we all want to get together again, right? And see vendors and friends and learn about the new concepts and processes and see we want it all. What about Bowl Expo 2021? I know it's a little early for that, but is there plans to execute this with restrictions that you know of? Or I'm sure you're talking about this still.
Yeah, well, we're planning right now. I mean, now that we have, we did a quick pivot with Summit, coming from
California to
Springs to Nashville.
Yeah.
Now that that's settled, now that we've locked in our thought leader, we're excited about that. Absolutely, we shift immediately to Bowl Expo, and we're already working on that. So
okay, good.
We're working right now on the trade show, the educational offerings, who's going to be there, what are some relevant topics. It's going to be happening. It's going to be in Louisville. It's going to be great. Again, we don't know where we're going to be in June of 2021.
Of course not, right?
We're going to operate within those guidelines.
Good.
Where two or more gather, we're going to be together, and we're going to network, and we'll do it responsibly. We'll do it within whatever the state says is the responsible way to do that. And so we are all full ahead on Bowl Expo and the planning, because as you know, for a national event like that, it's months and months of planning to put all those little pieces together to make it work. So we're moving ahead. Frank has us full steam ahead, having that happen. The only variable is, what will the environment be in June of 2021, and what does it look like as we gather? Are we going to be doing air hugs? Are we going to be doing real hugs? Or are we going to be doing, those small things remain to be seen, but we will be together. And,
Good.
And we just will be together, and we're planning full steam ahead for that.
Well, I look forward to it for sure. Bart, I appreciate you taking your time today to talk to us. I'm going to leave you with a final thought. Let's talk to me about the future of BPAA. What's on your horizon for the near distant future? What are some things that you can share with us? Where are you headed? What direction?
Well, look,
I'm putting you on the spot because we didn't talk about this ahead of time.
No, I think there's a lot of learnings from this pandemic that we went through, and some of it's yet to be written. And that's any situation that you go through. There's always learning. There's always things on the other side that make you better, make you stronger, and that you just learn from. So for us, it's capturing those learnings. What have we learned to help our members and help them even to a deeper level than we have in the past? And the one thing about Frank is he's a student of continuous improvement. You don't rest on your laurels. You're always trying to do better. How can I take better care of you tomorrow than I did today? And what does that look like? And, we do that through our member benefits that Amy and the team lead, and all the great contracts that they've negotiated. And that's been as strong as ever. But the one thing we've learned is that investing in your people, education and training has taken on a much stronger role than ever before. And it's always intangible.
100% right there. It's 100% right. That is exactly what we are seeing in other industries, not just our entertainment industry, but other retail environment industries. They're doing the same thing with their employees. They want them to be more educated and better equipped to handle not just the pandemic and what the problems are that we have to deal with today, but how we learn from today really dictates how we're going to handle the future, I think. So
yeah, and the thing that we're learning is, organizations, companies, small businesses that focus on growing their people, those people will grow the business.
Yes.
And some of us are learning that painfully, right? Mm-hmm. The painful learnings from the pandemic. And some of us are taking this opportunity where it's reinforcing, and we now in some cases are getting, we're reaping what we sowed, and it's very fruitful. And it's just another reminder that, hey, if I focus on my people and I focus on growing my people, they will, in fact, grow the business.
For sure. What a great way to leave the show today, Bart. I appreciate that. That's a very powerful statement there. We try to put together content here for you to grow your individual self and your employees and other people involved with your business. That's what we do at Beyond the Frame. We partner with people like BPAA and other companies that can give you some tools some resources for you to use, even just knowledge. That's a tool, right? So thank you to Bart Burger. Thank you to BPAA. Thank you to Frank DeSocio for getting you in his place today. He's not off the hook though. I'm gonna have him back just because, me and Frank, I got to finish up with what we started, right? I appreciate you taking your time. Now for resources of obviously BPAA.com, Bart has mentioned so many of the resources that are available on their page. CubicAMF.com/support. Those are all on the front side of our website too, open to anybody. You can check out our YouTube channel for this video in the future or other videos that you may have missed, whether they be webinars or other Beyond the Frame segments, or even Seeds of Success and things of that nature. We've got them all listed there. So on behalf of Cubica AMF, I thank you for joining us. And for Bart, Jay, and Cubica, we say until next time, you better stay in the right frame of mind because we're going to keep you there, okay? Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you